Welcome to So Many Receipts. I'm Fleur Michelle, former entertainment editor and lifelong reality TV addict, unpacking the tea from Farmer Wants a Wife, Real Housewives, Bravo and beyond. Let's get stuck in. Hello and welcome everyone to the new season of So Many Receipts. I'm your podcast host, Fleur Michelle, and usually I've got my trusty sidekick, Shelley Seddon, alongside me, but it will just be me flying solo for this season. So each show, I'm going to kick off with Farmer Wants a Wife, plus some other bits of bonus tea on other shows. And also thank you everyone if you were following us last season with our Maths Madness podcast. Somehow, despite the emotional damage, we spent quite a bit of the season on Apple's Top 100 TV and Film Podcast chart list in Australia, which honestly still blows my mind. I still don't know how we even survived such a wacky season. What a crazy cast of characters. But before I get stuck into farmer drama, seeing as it's the first new show, just thought I'd fill you in a bit more about me. So I'm a middle-aged married mum of two teenagers living in Sydney, and I'm a long-time entertainment journo who now works in entertainment PR. I actually used to be the entertainment editor at some well-known magazines. I was also a TV producer at one point, and I've been talking about reality TV for 30 long years. Oh my God, it is literally my life's work. Like, how on earth did that happen? Is that a worthy legacy or just completely ridiculous? Oh well, too late now. Actually, I might tell you more about my very first reality TV show that I ever watched. That's kind of funny. I might start doing personal stories within the pod so you get to know me a little bit more. And when we talk about these shows, I'll try to bring you a bit of analysis and perspective from my years of working in the media while still appreciating the fact that sometimes people are just arguing over absolutely nothing and it's still incredibly entertaining. Anyway, enough about me. Let's get stuck into it. So, Farmer Wants a Wife, and we have to start with Miranda because this is one of those instances where it was pretty clear to see the villain edit forming in real time. This week, social media has completely turned on Miranda, calling her a self-absorbed diva who belongs on Married at First Sight. People are actually saying with the female fighting, the show now feels like a Temu maths. And I can understand why Miranda is giving people the irrits so much. We saw her on the show talking about women being jealous of her, not just now, but her whole life. So this isn't something she just made up. I found something on an old TikTok of hers. So last year in June, she did a post about going out in her hometown of Rockhampton for the first time in 2 years, saying she had drinks poured on her by girls she didn't know, but who followed her online, and that it explains why she hates that town. Ouch. So Miranda can sense Zach's girls are threatened by her, but got on Maya for challenging her on the desperate comment. Now, I've worked in entertainment long enough to know that when a narrative sticks, it really sticks. So what's going on here? Because on one hand, Miranda is clearly confident, she's attractive, and she was a high-achieving junior athlete representing Queensland in swimming and race walking, so she probably did stand out in a smaller town like Rockhampton. But even if people are jealous of her repeatedly saying people have been jealous of me my whole life is a bit ick. It reads as self-awareness, but there's nothing humble about it. It's kind of braggy, and audiences hate a bragger, right? Or is she just someone who's been edited into a very specific storyline, confident and very aware of the effects she's having on people? Or is she simply being honest about something that she regularly deals with? I also think viewers are frustrated because she gets so much airtime. Some people don't think she should have been cast on the show at all. And she's probably not the most obvious Farmer Wants a Wife contestant. But let's be honest, if you're a producer and someone this dramatic walks into casting, are you really going to say no? Of course not. You're probably going to offer them a coffee and ask if they can start filming tomorrow. Anyway, let's see what happens and revisit Miranda next week. Now, I also want to talk about something else that I've clocked on Farmer that I don't think people are realizing is happening as much as it is. And I say this as someone who's been watching this show now for 20 years. That is producer strategy. And once you see it, you kind of can't unsee it. So what do I mean? Well, I'm talking about what I'm calling producer playbook number 5. So Remember, there were 5 women that each farmer brought home to the farm. However, with the ladies picked last, that's almost never a random position, I feel. The number 5 woman's kind of like the wild card, and she usually does not end up with a farmer. She's the one that brings the conflict, the contrast, the drama, or comes with some kind of problem. So take Alex's number 5, Rachel, who openly said she hates mushrooms, and Alex literally runs a mushroom farm. Or Jason's 5, pick Poppy, who doesn't want kids, despite him saying in his bio, I want more kids. Or Jared, who picked Cara last. She's got that successful legal career that immediately had him wondering whether that career would mesh with his remote farm. And Dylan's 5, the confident, bold, look at me, casting choice in Scarlet with the crazy red lipstick. I'm not sure any of these women will be chosen as the final one, although I do like Scarlet for Dylan. I kind of think they've got chemistry, but let's see, I have been known to be wrong before. The only thing that surprised me is that Zach chose Mika as his number 5 and Miranda as his number 4, even though Miranda clearly has the number 5 troublemaker energy, right? Honestly, I think the only reason she wasn't number 5 is that she might have had a meltdown if they'd made her sweat it out to number 5. Producers know that she's the breakout star delivering the drama. Perhaps they didn't want to upset her too much. So here's the usual pattern. The first 2 women are usually the most serious matches. 3 and 4 often get less airtime, sometimes virtually no attention at all. And number 5 is where production often places the chaos. Is it coincidence? I don't think so. Now, this next one is interesting because it's a reminder of something people often forget about reality TV. You don't just get cast, you survive casting. So if you've been watching promos all year for Farmer and thought, wait, wasn't there another farmer that was supposed to be on this? You're not imagining it. Cattle farmer John from Agumba, Western Australia, was originally announced to be part of the 2026 cast. He did the press, he had the bio, he was in the lineup. And apparently he started doing some filming and then he disappeared. He's not on screen. And honestly, this happens more than people probably realize. Producers don't just cast people, they cast combinations. So they're building storylines, chemistry, but they're also building balance. In this case, reportedly, John and Jason were serving very similar roles in the overall cast structure, 2 37-year-old farmers, similar profiles, similar narrative space, and ultimately production decided Jason was the stronger of the 2. So they basically cut John for being too boring between the 2 of them. Although, gosh, Jason isn't terribly interesting either, is he? But I guess the fact that women keep leaving him on the show does kind of make his story watchable. He's only got 2 left. At this point, I feel like we're all just waiting to see whether either of them decides to self-eliminate. So back to John, I don't think he probably did anything wrong. And I got the impression they dropped him before he got too much into the filming. Unlike farmers Jack and Reedy, who both filmed their entire season last year, but had the entire footage scrapped because allegations then came out about them supposedly being sleazy, allegedly kind of revolting to women behind the scenes, which then caused this editing nightmare of having to cut them out of every group scene with the whole cast. Anyway, I don't think John is joining as an intruder farmer either. I just think he's done. Now, on to bonus tea, straight from the fluff of Farmer to the Netflix drama everyone is currently talking about, Maternal Instinct. But I want to talk about what Netflix didn't show because they are only showing half of the story. Because if you watched this doco and thought it was shocking, what happened after the arrest is just as crazy. So this girl in the US, Taylor Parker, was convicted in 2022 over taking the life of her pregnant friend Reagan Simmons Hancock and Reagan's baby Braxlin. Taylor pretended she was pregnant for 10 months and then ripped the baby out of Reagan. She wanted to impress her boyfriend Wade, but bizarrely, he didn't even want a baby. She was then going to pretend the baby was hers, but how she thought she'd get away with it, I just don't know. She was stopped for speeding with the baby just half an hour later, and this awful crime is solved, like literally within minutes. But what Taylor did in jail next, while awaiting trial, is just on another level. First, she writes to the FBI, and not just to confess or explain, she offers to help them solve crimes in exchange for leniency. She claims she can manipulate people, she basically runs the jail, and she understands criminals better than investigators. So she is, in her own words, positioning herself to be a crime consultant from prison. But then it escalates and gets even more crazy. She begins claiming she was actually the victim, that she was abducted by some gang, drugged, taken to Reagan's house, forced to do what happened, and then woke up with no memory of it. And then this is even more insane. She tries to shift the blame onto another inmate that she had only just met, who is in the neighboring cell next to her. What? I mean, honestly, what are the odds? She suggested that this inmate and a wider gang were actually behind everything. And then come these letters. She writes these 10 to 13 page long documents where she starts concocting entire gang narratives with names like J-Dog, Doughboy, and Kodiak. Yes, seriously, I'm not exaggerating when I say that this reads like a badly written crime script. So I just want to read you this one section because it's so mad. Word was the girl had money originally, but then the old boy got himself into some oil money and land. Doughboy caught word in December from a crew member, overheard a man deliver a check to the B over $1 million. She confirmed when she called her old man in her office. Girl got it recorded and sent it to Doughboy. He called a deal. LOL. I mean, she's trying to write like a street thug. Ugh, and none of that even made sense. And the more that you read of it, the more it feels like someone building this entire fictional world from a prison cell. That's the part Netflix didn't really get into. There really should be a part two because everybody is now really intrigued by this terrible case. But honestly, it's arguably one of the most unsettling parts of this story. It shows just how far the narrative was being rewritten, even after everything that had already happened. Anyway, I'm so thrilled Taylor is now facing the lethal injection in Texas. It can't come soon enough. So that's all for show number one. Please come back for show number two. Leave a comment. And you can also follow the So Many Receipts social media pages on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. And I will see you next week.